Hey everybody, Manic here. I just wanted to get a Smite video out just because the alpha fully transforms into a beta on the 13th. Today is the 11th, at about 10:30 at night. So I just want to get this out and, kind of just get it out there. For those that don't know, I know there are plenty of other content creators that people probably watch. But I wanted to, just on the off chance that someone stumbled upon the video and they haven't seen anything, don't mind the gameplay that's going on in the background. It's likely like some background arena gameplay or something with this patch. I believe I might use the raw footage using the aspect. It's a lot of fun, and I'll get into aspects here in a bit. The first thing I want to touch on is CC buffering. So I did a whole reaction video that I never uploaded because it ended up being like an hour and a half long. So I'm just going to touch on CC buffering probably for a majority of the video. So I want to be perfectly clear here. I am a fan of CC buffering to an extent. Because here's the thing, man. I will absolutely agree with you, or anyone that says it. Whenever in Smite 1, when you jump, your active frames are way too long, and that's what caused those times where you jump, and I swear, man, like, you could be Ullr, like, completely in the air, halfway up your monitor, and you get frozen. It happens with Anhur, it happens with Ullr. Those are the main two I always saw it with. I think occasionally I had it happen with Hades, but those two, Ullr and Anhur, definitely are the main ones. I've had it happen with Hou Yi, just about anybody that has a jump. But in Smite 2, they've kind of fixed it. Don't get me wrong. I'm sorry that I'm using and filler words a lot. But don't get me wrong here. It is good that this is changed. Whenever they had it working, and I believe it's fully going on in this new patch. Whenever it's fully working, it's great. My problem with it is I do not like that it is essentially just I used my ability, I get to cast for free. I come from old MOBAs. I started on Heroes of Newerth. I went back and played Dota. I've played Dota 2. I've played League of Legends, nowhere near as long as the others, but I mean, I've been playing MOBAs for a very long time. I've been playing Smite since, I believe, it was 2012. I believe shortly after either Cupid or Thor came out is whenever I started playing. No, Thor was out, so I think Cupid may have just dropped, or Ares, one of those two. But I've been playing for a very long time. It may not reflect on like my Steam page, and the reason for that is because when you played back in the day, back in 2012, Hi-Rez had their own launcher. They didn't go through Steam. Steam happened, I think, in like 2015 whenever it launched on consoles as well. I could be wrong on that one, but regardless, I've been playing a very, very long time. Excuse me. My biggest problem with CC buffering is those moments where abilities just go off and it's because it's very counterintuitive to other MOBAs. The biggest example I can give right now that's fresh in my mind is there are so many times with Mordred, for example, and don't get me wrong, Mordred's dog shit right now. He sucks. I still love playing him. I just wish he was better. But Mordred, you use your one, and now, yeah, sure, I get Sobek knocked up, my ability still goes off. Here's the problem, man. I hate that happens, because in most situations, and granted, Mordred is not one of those situations, there are situations where an ability will get interrupted before the fire actually happens, and it doesn't go on cooldown. Now, that can be very important when it comes to specific abilities. For example, let's think for a second. Let's use Sobek Tail Whip, for example. If you get stunned, the way it works essentially with CC buffering, if I get stunned the moment I press my 2, it just goes off. In Smite 2 or Smite 1, if I get stunned before I use my Tail Whip, like you can hear you see the animation start, you can hear it and everything. In most cases, it will interrupt, and your ability does not go on cooldown. Now, there are some abilities where that should happen, absolutely. Honestly, so Tail Whip maybe being one of them because the fact that it's instant CC like that. Excuse me. My biggest problem is keeping it this way kind of fucks over a lot of skillful play. And what I mean by that, one of the big examples I can give right off the bat is back with Smite 1. I remember I was just like playing Assault, just because I was stressed one day, just wanted to play a game. So I jumped into an Assault, I got Neja, right? And I had this happen both ways, where there was a Baba Yaga on the enemy team. And I remember there was a team fight that happened, you know, Baba and I are like the last two alive. She's one hit, I'm one hit, and I time my sash the moment she throws a, what is it, her 2? Yeah, her 2 at me, one of the jars. She throws that at me, and I sash, I hit her, and it still goes off because, like, she played the animation, it starts flying at me, I sash, I go to her, I auto-attack her, she dies. I wouldn't say that's CC buffering because, I'll get back to that. Let me finish. And then I had it happen the other way, where same type of situation. We're both super low health, and I go to sash her, but this time she actually kind of read that and dropped the bottle at her feet. So, or not at her feet, but like right in front of her. That way there was some fly time. Because I sash, I hit her, and by the time I landed, I ended up getting hit by the bottle and died. The reason I mention this is because this is specifically like, this is specific skillful play that you lose with CC buffering in a way. Because it's decision making too. Because that, don't get me wrong, yes, with CC buffering, if I was in the same situation, yes, it would play exactly how it would. The difference is, with a character like Naja, there are so many abilities that just fly out at certain speeds, where by the time you get to somebody with your sash, if you're like one hit from dead, you're just dead. It doesn't matter. And the entire point of Naja's sash is to give you the iframes while you're flying through the air, and then it gives you like a very brief moment of something to do. In most cases, it's one of two things. It's auto attack and kill them, or it's ult and kill them. Or ult and disassociate yourself, or banish, quote unquote, yourself for a short amount of time, and then when you land, you pop your 2. If it's up. But you get my point there. And my biggest problem with CC buffering, especially when it comes to abilities, okay? I fucking hate that I can taunt someone with Athena, like on her, and he just gets his jump off for free. I think that's fucking stupid. Let me explain. Because I hold, especially with this being Smite 2, I hold this to a much higher standard than Smite 1. They need to go through every single animation, and I'm not fucking kidding. They need to go through every single ability animation, auto attack animation, everything with a fine-tooth comb. Because they need to determine the exact moments of pre-fire, fire, and post-fire. Because here's the thing. Say you're playing on her or Ullr, right? When you use your jump, until both of your feet are off the floor, you should be interruptible. I don't care. That's how a pre-fire of an animation works. If you don't know the term pre-fire, think of it of a what did they refer to it as? I don't remember. Do they have it in this? I have some notes up here. Let's see. Yeah, leap should not be buffered. Okay, so they do refer to it as pre-fire. Think of it as a wind-up animation. There we go. That's the term I was thinking of. A wind-up animation. So, for example, a wind-up animation being on her, he kind of crouches down and then jumps in the air. The reason On-Her's jump is longer of an animation than Ullr's is because On-Her's jump has a knockback when he lands. Ullr's, he just lands where he lands and deals damage. On-Her deals damage and knocks up. So that's why On-Her's animation is longer. This is why I say they need to go through every single animation with a fine-tooth comb and like hit on these, because there are absolutely animations in the game where abilities should fire at specific times. And then there's also animations where it's like, what the fuck is happening? Because I can tell you, I hate in Smite Baron. Baron here is a good example of this. I hate in Smite 2 that I can use Baron 2, it will hit, and then or I use it, I die, and it doesn't go off. There should be a specific point in the animation where it has fully fired and goes off even if I die. Not only that, here's the other side of it too. Yes, the heal should still go off to allies. At that point, you're dead. It doesn't matter. But excuse me, so sorry about that. Specifically when we're thinking Baron, there's no reason Baron 2 should be on such a fast animation when you have an animation like Neith's, where she has like a full 1.5 animation to use her 2 before it goes off. Like, it's actually pretty nuts. There are so many that need to be looked at, and don't get me wrong, yes, because it can heal per enemy, maybe that's why it's a specific, like a very long animation. But these are things they need to consider whenever they're looking at abilities, because yes, I am of the opinion there should absolutely be, everything should be interruptible except for like CC immune ults and shit. And here's actually another good example. So On-Her, with his Impale. When you use Impale, he winds back and throws, right? There's a specific point in the animation where the projectile is moving. So he winds up, the moment it leaves his hand, it should fly out no matter what. If he gets stunned, it doesn't matter, it should fly out. And I think that actually happens in Smite 1. It should happen in Smite 2. And that it's just a timing thing, that's the thing. With CC buffering, it just happens, and I fucking hate that. Now, there are unique interactions, which I actually kind of liked when they were showing it, where if Athena taunts you and you use it, yes, you face her and then it goes off. Like, that interaction was actually really interesting. And that's one of those things where it's like, you can look at that and be like, ooh, maybe we change how taunt works. Because I do, like, it should interrupt certain things. No, taunt should probably be just full on, full CC, just like a stun. The logic is just, it's probably because I come from old MOBAs. I just think everything needs to be interruptible, and people that complain about CC being like there being too much CC in MOBAs, I've gone over this hundreds of times. If you complain about CC in Smite, you need to go play Dota. Dota will literally blow your fucking mind with how much CC is in Dota. So shut up. Like, I'm done having that discussion. CC in MOBAs is important because the entire point of CC is to control a battlefield. Not even just CC. There are specific abilities in the game that control the map. You have area denial, Zeus ult, Cupid ult, things like, and Cupid ult's also CC because it cripples. Like, there are specific abilities in the game that do these things, and that is the point of them. It is area denial, it is slowing, it is controlling a battlefield, it is forcing people to use abilities on you, it is interrupting people's abilities. That's the thing. Now, one of their big things with CC buffering was, it helps. It helps to alleviate how players feel. It always feels bad when you're interrupted all the time. Like, yes, that's the point. When you're interrupted, it sucks. That's kind of what it is. Like, if someone is playing well enough that they interrupt an ability with CC, they just outplayed you. In most cases. They just outplayed you. There are some where it's bullshit. For example, Sobek. But you also have to think, Sobek, his entire kit is practically CC outside of his 3. He's got his knockback with his tail whip, which, if timed properly, and it's a good Sobek, he can combo the 2 into the 1, which is the pluck, where he flings you backwards. And then his ult is just a big slow with an execute now, which... cool. I love the execute. I think it's cool. The little plus ones that they've been adding are really nice. But yeah, if you have questions regarding CC buffering, definitely leave them in the comments. I am completely open to having a discussion about stuff, especially with CC buffering, because I'm being very critical with this stuff. Because whenever I look at a game like from Dota to Dota 2 or Heroes of Newerth and League and how they evolved over the years, granted Heroes of Newerth isn't around anymore, but how these games have evolved over time, it's one of those things where I will hold Smite 2 to a much higher standard than Smite 1 because it's on a new engine, because the team is more experienced, they're testing out a bunch of new stuff, they're getting things done. That is why I will hold it to a higher standard. And here's the thing, I've been learning Unreal 5, I talk about it all the fucking time. Some of these things, granted, I'm not super experienced with it, I'm still learning a lot, I still spend a lot of time in it. It is amazing some of the things you can do in Unreal 5. Even like with the limited stuff that I've done. It is super crazy. It's super, super fun to play around with shit. They could do a ton of stuff. And I love when they experiment with stuff. Like I said, the CC buffering stuff is a good idea. And I hope it grows from here because it is a good first start. It's just not perfect like it should be. Now, to move on to the next segment, I mainly just want to talk about some of the new stuff they're adding. I fucking love the idea of aspects. They're so fucking cool. Let me scroll down to them in here. Where are they? Is this him? Yeah, God Aspects. Okay, before I hit God Aspects, I want to touch on this. They added an item that when I was watching the patch notes, I actually lost my shit. It was this, where is it? I love that they made the Naga buff thing a consumable. There it is. New Fire Giant pickup item, Obsidian Dagger. I love this item. They literally just said, hey, Dota has a thing called Roshan where he drops the Aegis of Immortality and it's just like an immediate res. This one we're using the interact button and it's a consumable, and if you use it when you have 500 health left, you just kill yourself and respawn. I love it. It's so fucking cool. Expires after 3 minutes. Yeah, when you use it, it deals 500 damage to you, grants a 15% damage increase with an attack speed increase for 6 seconds. And if it kills you, it revives you and you still get the buff. If you use it beforehand, you just get the damage and attack speed. So you want to try and execute yourself with it. It's super fucking cool. Love the item. They added a ton of new stuff into Conquest that I love. I'm not going to touch them all here. I mainly just want to focus about this really interesting stuff. The aspects, though. the aspects, in most cases, heavily change gods, and actually can heavily change their roles. Like the Athena one's very interesting, where she can channel onto enemies. I don't necessarily like that you don't deal damage, because I want an ult like a character from Heroes of Newerth called, I think his name was Sir Bensington. Fucking great character, super fun. But his ultimate, he would target an enemy and channel for a few seconds, land on them slow, and then, you know, his whole thing was his kit. And super fun character, but it reminded me of that whenever they were like, oh yeah, you can channel on an enemy, cause them to take more damage. But some of them also are major changes, like Kernanos, where he's no longer ranged, he's a melee character. Really interesting. One for Khepri makes his one just like hold them in place, and it does tick damage for a few seconds instead of just hold, like, for the entire duration. Excuse me. Raz makes it to where his heal and his ult no longer scale, but he can put his heal on an ally and it travels with them. Or you can ult, and it's like at max level, it's like an 800 damage and 800 health heal. That kind of shit's fucking awesome, and I want to see so much more of it. Smite 2 is going to be crazy with all this stuff. And then they have Aladdin coming. Aladdin looks so fucking fun. I purposely did not play any of him during the flash test or anything, because I wanted to just jump straight into him. He looks so fucking cool, and I'm so excited for it. I've been playing a lot of ranked in Smite 1 too, because I'm still trying to get the Robin skin. I've been doing really well. I'm up in Plat in both Conquest and Joust now, and my Joust is actually probably like Diamond 2 or 3, because I've got like 2300 MMR there. Conquest is a bit lower, but that's because Conquest is kind of iffy, and then I also have some rough games. I had one where I ended up against like a Master Border tier or whatever. That was just ridiculous. I did not have fun with that, but I also got solo, and I wasn't queuing for solo. I was queuing trying to get jungle. But I'll go back to that later. Hopefully this video, though, was quick enough to really get the points across and get the ideas across. Hopefully you enjoyed. I'll see y'all in the next one. Later.